Honorable Mark Freeland. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Good morning, President.
Honorable Mark Freeland, and said roll call. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona did not answer roll call. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not answer roll call. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not answer roll call. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So did not answer roll call. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not answer roll call. With that, Honorable Speaker, you have 14 delegates, including yourself, who are present for today's meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Roll call, 14 delegates present and 8 not on the floor or on the board here. So with that, there's 2 that's excused today. That is Honorable Wilson Stewart and Honorable Seth Damon. With that, Jananda, we're gonna go ahead and proceed. We're out of recess, roll call, or we're out of recess. We recess at 12:37 a.m. and this morning. So 10:16 at this 10:23. With that, just as a recap, last night on legislation number 02-32, so we went ahead and called to go ahead and go into recess, and we'll start off from where we picked off yesterday from that legislation. So with that, but before I go, Honorable Paul Begay has reached out to me, make a request, and before we start up today, Mr. Paul Begay, let's do a invocation first, and Honorable Paul Begay, can you provide an invocation for us?
Thank you, Chair. So, members of 24th Navajo Nation Council and Naabik'íyáti Committee, those all listening, so that the between na the huiklado lesson. Netra the Enlini, share the Benabi call. Njungo Nisha now, I don't jungo saho, Danchi, Bahojongo, Hotego, Habi Ilta. Koba Sheason, Kotego, Ton Leni, do cheat Lini, the Nikaya Pakai, the Nahot Slate, Ado Junan Stigoshin Hota, Yat Eco Ichel, Nadi dot Soto, but not nada to do, Koto, Tonad and Lead or Leco, by Sheason, deep in a big art, so never so deals them. Hashina launching but Nahot Tito. So the Zen lingo hot ego Nahas Taho one Basotis and Tish Yat in that dot Listo Njongo Basinda Hoido As Fabi Yil Tahiti Takas so Cleo the Yegon that discuss. Just a bit of Hoye also. Chishit in Linia, Bahalon or less, Chian the Bahalon or less, they in Nani also. I don't know, closely that he was lazy that so Gee, I know though, so you so deals. I don't cannot lean dished. Sabasotil, Tarnas, and has Ado, Depo, Sarahotson, Adonia, Kaya, the Hadahusto, County Stalia, Ado in Trago, another Husto, Hosto, a Shinkbito, the Bensa, your two, Ajidaso, not Pasadilson, and they can focus on Aja. Yet everything deals in Stolis, yet down runs a case on it. The Hajo Batno Leon Hot Nido, Scott area. The Kishmish be a whole Jishigi. What they were Hansi case on here has Ungi. Yet Ernie Gay. But let on it, Edole, the Lani plate ole, a dark connect and ole, Lishinge, Nashni, Nungid us. I think he need a hollow. A bar connects and ole, do a dark connects and ole, a dark Holiado, Conjungo. The Henada of Hato and the Hanana Haigi, maybe the Hanadi Kajango Ia, say nada doha. But they go Ia for deals and I couldn't so go Ia. For onge, she had Lini Dolish, Stradi and Linico, by Sydney or the Indal, so many gadget league, by Sydney. Also go so there's an ish level. Then we get your Jesus Christ, Bishop and Nasha, so this $1. Amen.
Thank you very much, Paul. Honorable Paul Gay for the prayer at this time. Yeah. Moving on down the line, Honorable Paul Gay wanted to request for some time. And I spoke with him this morning, and I am going to go ahead and allow him some time this morning at this moment. So, Honorable Paul Gay, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair So and Speaker So, members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. I thank you for allowing me to take this time to share information with you. I oversee 5 chapters. Copper Mine, Kitchi, Baraway Gap, Tonalea, and Kaibito. One had linked in Nikanat leaned the question, the question, Yako Ebishmas, and the sling Slatadata. 5 terms as a honorable delegate, Lingo, Yego Ibehatilson, a call ADA, Shiltahon, Binda Shiltahon, Honorable Delegate Joe Daisy, passed on early this morning, shortly after 1 o'clock this morning. At $1,000 to could Hashinella, she if not Ndakle, call $1,000 to I would like to, at an appropriate time, request that we have a moment of silence for Honorable Delegate Mr. Joe Daisy. Mrs. Ishtani Ishtadole. Speaker, so yeah.
Thank you very much. Mr. Joe Daisy was a former Navajo Nation Council who served from 1978 on into the 1982, from 83 to 87, 87 to 92, and I believe 92 to 94. He served about 4 to 5 terms with the Navajo Nation Council. We will go ahead and move forward with a moment of silence for our colleague, our former council, moment of silence. Proceed with moment of silence. Ikehela. Do. Nashinto ho. And a former council delegate from Tonahele. He added abaditne, neck at a Tonahele. Back a hell chi. I just thought red lake the sneaker. It added a shintago, not unlinear yana gande. Ajin hinant Mr. Joe Daisy. Yeah, koho. Where he is in our prayers, and we send our condolence to the family of Joe Daisy. At this time, Ashinto Shibaji do ben the Ashinto Shidastik. But Chinedo the Ikaji do but Nadalkido but Soke a she with Ashinto at it's a time of Christmas, and it's a hard time to come across something of that nature at a time when holidays are within a couple of days after or even before the holidays. And I will go ahead and direct staff to get a condolence letter for Mr. Joe Daisy and the late Joe Daisy Sr. And also Honorable Paul Begay has requested the Navajo Nation flag, and we will go ahead and work with this. I will get staff to get those items ready so that Honorable Paul Begay can can take that those to the families, and so that just to show our appreciation from the Navajo Nation legislative branch. Hinantaan ligo kon ke hastito ajo hat ego yego yi khadiya yi holsado. I'm sure he felt the way we felt as current leaders of the Navajo Nation. Our former delegates. We will go ahead and have that communication out to the family. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Begay, you have anything else to add to this?
Chair, so can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Honorable Paul Begay.
Thank you, Chair. So one other item I forgot to mention, Mr. Honorable Delegate Joe Daisy is a Korean War veteran and a recipient of the Purple Heart. Appreciate right now presently is he will be planning a military style funeral for him in his hometown of Tonalea, and more information forthcoming. Thank you.
I'll go shila here for that update there. Shila Paul Begay che adonda adit hinat adit one lite nashin sago Ben he's going to informing leadership here to Winterrock that one of our former delegates, ABK Hastin. So again, we will have staff work on getting the condolence letter, get the Navajo Nation flag out so that you can make that delivery to the family and provide a message to the family on behalf of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. With that, I'm going to move forth on down the line. Adana, yesterday we have been working on a legislation, and in the midst of it, we went ahead and recess in the midst of it. So I don't know. It's neat to attend it. Yeah. Oh, before we get into the legislation, Honorable Nate Brown.
Yadashi Ado Speaker, Mr. So Ado Anatosh and Ada is not Ayad Ben. I have my 5-day comment period for my 3 chapters. The ARPA FRF legislation is ready for Naabik'íyáti right now. It's legislation 0271-22. However, I might have an amendment. I understand that DOJ and Kristen Lowell is working on that with Dana. And I've been in contact with Mr. Tom Platero as well. So thank you to our staff, our attorneys who have been on top of this. So if I could add that, and if is there a way we can address this for FRF before we go back to other legislations that we have spent close to, I think, 9-10 hours on last night. So I don't know to approve this legislation.
Okay, Mr. Brown, Mr. Honorable Brown, we have RDC's committee report, which they approved this morning, some legislation that we need to add on. And it would be in order if you would go ahead and motion that and to add this legislation onto the agenda to suspend the floor rules and add these legislation on and allowing these other legislation from Resources and Development Committee meeting to be added on to this agenda. So right now we only have RDC. We haven't received HES, Health and Human Services Committee resolutions that were legislation that were approved at HES yet. So I would request that you suspend the floor rules and make this amendment.
Okay, Speaker, if I could suspend the floor rules to add the legislation 0271-22, and I was on the RDC meeting this morning, so I believe there was 3 or 4 legislations. Manuel, if you can help me with the number of legislations. So it should be yeah.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Brown. Okay, all righty. So we didn't table the legislation that we're addressing last night, so we're gonna have to address the legislation 0232-22. We'll have to complete this because I would have 2 motions on the floor. And so after we address the legislation 0232-22, that's when I'll come back and call upon you, Honorable Brown, and we can add these from the floor. I can't have 2 motions on the floor. I just remembered. So Honorable Brown.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get down to business. Moving forth on the legislation that we have. Atana, we were on legislation number 0232-22. It is the legislation was read into the record. The motion was held by Honorable Key Allen Begay. And the second motion was held by
Delegate Cardi with the question.
held by Honorable Eugene So. Madam Chair Karati, you have the floor.
Oh, I apologize, Chiaj. If you could just help, we're having our internet here in Chief Springs area, our power keeps going in and out. I would just need to know where we're at on the agenda. I heard some of what you were reading. I just need to know the number, or if staff can text me where we're at on the agenda. And I just want to make a comment too regarding press release from December 27th regarding expressed concerns over Sehasin Fund. I'm not sure in terms of the purpose of the press release, but it's interesting because it's this council that actually votes on these legislations. I think I could raise that when we hear some additional legislations. But I just received that press release, and I'm not sure if you could clarify to us the intent of the press release as we move forward and delegates continue to add legislations on. Thank you. I received the text from staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Karati. And yes, we are on legislation number 0232-22. The council added on 6 legislation yesterday after the second set. So these legislation added on, and we got to letter I last night or this morning. So with that, we're still continuing on that last legislation on the letter I, where we left off when we recessed this morning. So we're gonna go ahead and continue off of letter I to proceed forward. And moving forward on the press release, I guess, let me go ahead and turn the floor over to let me see who requested that press release, Madam Chair, and I'll get back to you on this if that's okay, Madam Chair.
Speaker.
Honorable Freeland.
Good morning, Speaker. Arashnata. Wanted to ask if I could suspend the floor rules and add a legislation 0274-22, which was heard in RDC this morning. I'll make that request if I can now or after item I. You should have the report.
Honorable Freeland, I can't allow you to do that until we address item I, because we're gonna have two motions on the floor.
Okay.
So that we can't. So I'll come back to you guys on
Speaker,
that.
quick question. Are we anticipating another Nabi, or is this the last one?
This is your last Nabi right now.
Okay.
This is where we're going. So
I'll wait after I then if we get done. Thank you.
Hagoshila, thank you very much. With that, Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and get back with you on the press release and gather a little bit more information on the press release information. So with that, I'm going to go back to the floor. Donna, we were on legislation 0232-22, and we recessed in the midst of it. So with that, I have a motion on the floor, held by Honorable Kealan Begay, and the second motion by Eugene So. So with that, the dialogue of it, yesterday we had Honorable Vince James speak to the legislation alone. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and allow Manuel to do a recap on reading the heading into the record. Just a recap on that. Manuel?
Thank you, Speaker and members of the 24th Nomination Council, Naabik'íyáti Committee. This is tracking number 0232-22 in action relating to the Research and Development, Budget and Finance and Naabik'íyáti Committees and Nomination Council, approving $17,513,187 from the Citizen Fund for the Navajo Nation Shopping Centers Incorporated for NNSCI's proposed expansion of the Telecom Shopping Center, approving the related expenditure plan. The legislation is sponsored by Honorable Elmer P. Begay, co-sponsored by Honorable Vice Chair Thomas Walker Jr. You did get a motion by Kealan Begay Jr. and a second by Honorable Eugene So. And before we got into the presentation, I believe that's when there was a motion to recess. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. With that, as we move forth, I'm going to turn the floor over to Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay, can you give us a recap on your presentation you made last night? Thank you.
Speaker, so around the members of the Naabik'íyáti Committee, around I had Delegate Walker for co-sponsoring. Around that, I had my agents on the line from Navajo Shopping Center, and then also from Dalcon chapter. Margie Borton, chapter manager, and then chapter president Renzo Lee. They're on the line. Because the recap that I'll do is although based on the unique case called 17 million of ASCS and to IPA. Down to expansion of Dalcon Shopping Center. So he hasn't somebody he don't hit an end. Then there's expansion there that we all, I think we're all the committee they went over there and they had meetings at that Dalcon Medical Center again. Then there's a new medical center that's been constructed out on the with 109 staff quarters. So we all know that there is a issue with IHS and healthcare facilities going on that on the reservation, that the retention and then recruitment is very an issue. The main thing about it is that because of the convenience, they would on the reservation they don't really have that convenience. So the one that we have in Dalcon is like that. I know that there's going to be the whole idea from the way we're understanding the whole Navajo Nation leadership is that to spend Navajo dollars on the reservation, and this one of the reason why the economic development was put in place. There's one thing where are these people gonna the staff and the addition to this community spent their money, and understanding that there's going to be $42 million worth of payroll a year that will be associated with the new medical center. All the positions are being filled. So even there's potential. So I guess we could say that we've been blessed with this medical center, which IHS provided that. All these other improvements are made to that too. So there's 115 substation that is being built in Bidhochi. So they're running that 6 and 9 kV line from there to Dalcon site. There's new substation that was built there. So it's and then everything's been constructed ready there now. A 69 kV substation that is built for this. Other than that, $5.7 million was collected to improve the water system from Greasewood to Dalcon, so to serve this
Honorable Elmer
community.
Begay.
Yeah.
Time. I'll give you 3 minutes to do a recap on that. So again, members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. Today is the second day of Naabik'íyáti committee, and we are on, we left off last night at legislation 0232-22 with a motion in place held by Key Allen Begay and a second motion held by Honorable Eugene So. And this particular legislation is sponsored by Honorable Elmer Begay. Alcohol, AD, and I allowed the recap on the heading of legislation and a recap on the presenters when he presented to this body this morning pertaining to this legislation. So with that, Shanant, is there any questions pertaining to legislation 0232-22 at this time?
Sure.
Honorable Slater, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I guess my main question is, since this is a commercial enterprise, why isn't there, commercial financing for this? And then I think I'll start with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, Elmer, write your questions down. I'm gonna go down the line. I don't see anybody in the queue at this time requesting to speak. With that,
Delegate James.
Honorable James, you have the floor.
Ik ga dan snel. Ado dan shita kodo dan nan sospedo kidi ya nin sos nleko. Ado kujitan Delcon has anje ako the 17 million proposal for rental space of Navajo Shopping Center. Aje has anigi ako at na kiko at kinsa anigi na kiko obatask has ako ela hait betel kahanda nelo ato neila di beso nai no kid ako. You have 2 rental space that has been sitting there currently for some time and it's not being utilized. So why are we requesting for additional funding to build more rental space when you can't fulfill your 2 current ones that's been sitting there vacant for quite some time now? So I'm trying to understand that proposal of where you're coming from to telling us that you need more rental space, but you can't fulfill the 2 vacant ones that is currently vacant on the current site. That will be my first question. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the sponsor, Honorable Elmer Begay and Mr. The CEO for Navajo Shopping Center. You have the floor.
Thank you for that question, Chida. Though I don't sit a little down delegates later.
No, I want the amendment.
So I have my agent on the line, so I'll give that questions to them. Nick and Mr. Nopa.
Yate Bennett, this is Nick Taylor, the Chief Executive Officer for Navajo Nation Shopping Centers. Good morning, Naabik'íyáti committee members and support staff and listeners. So I have quite a panel of agents on my side here. In addition to Shopping Center's CEO, we also have the Shopping Center's General Manager, Mr. Ray Nopa. We also have the Shopping Center's Board of Directors on the call too. We have our chairperson, vice chair, and our board secretary treasurer. And we also have some agents representing the community of Delcon, the Delcon chapter. We have the chapter president, Mr. Lorenzo Leon Call, and chapter manager, Ms. Margie Barton. So thank you for the questions posed by Delegate Slater and Delegate James. So to answer your questions, I'll be addressing the first question posed by Delegate Slater. Second will be addressed by Mr. Raymond Nopa in regards to Mr. James's question about demand and vacancy. So Delegate Slater, with the commercial financing here, what Shopping Centers is doing is we're trying to preserve our capital capacity. And back in 2019, we began a strategic plan for developing properties across the Navajo Nation, specifically within the properties we control. We control 9 of 13 shopping centers across the Navajo Nation. And together we have laid out a goal of developing pad sites. And we were building the capacities and readying ourselves for going to the debt markets to get and seek some financing, some debt financing. And along the way in 2020 and 2021, the Delcon chapter approached us and they requested that we work with them to assist them in developing their community by bringing in additional retail services, in part because of the medical facility expansion and the addition of housing. And because our strategic plan was already in play from 2019 to 2020, we weren't able to accommodate additional add-on requests for this type of financing project. And it was Delcon chapter that was really pushing for this project, and we felt that we want to partner with this chapter and we want to utilize some public funds, in part because this is a public request from the Delcon chapter to provide retail services. And again, we're just trying to really preserve our capital, and we have other projects already lined up. We have projects out in Tuba City where we're proposing to do a solar expansion. And we also have a project in the works with Chinle chapter in developing 100 acres of commercial. And we also have some proposed works coming for Shiprock, Pinon, and Montezuma Creek. And those projects, we're looking to utilize our financing capabilities for commercial financing and perhaps some equity financing to get these projects off the ground. But at the moment, we just need some assistance to get this Delcon shopping center expansion started. And again, we're just providing and responding to the request of the Delcon chapter. So that concludes my response to Delegate Slater. I'm going to have the next agent, Mr. Raymond Nopa, address the questions presented by Mr. Delegate James.
Yate, Janat Arnold Linigi, Adoda not here, Quagina de Kidigi, Shea Raymond Nopa in Shia. Donan Slinie Tratni Sutton Slina Trachi, the Basis Chin, Toricini, the Chanel Dashin, the Che. Okoyat, Quayat, Nade Kito, Quag a bandate, not sauce by Danoid, I need datos of saucy. Okoquagina de Kidigi, Honorable Council Delegate, Mr. Vince James, ya Ainley, Tolts is a Hadenda, Delcon chapter, ad ya con a Nayed Baho, has a conde. Na kirchas angogo ya dosa bisya ineta no ya hosna. There's 2 vacancies, ek at ani ek at a kut nde ya not sosi aita ya at daliado is dalia. Akodik adn hich hanana khaygido hich hanana zedigi January 2023 na ya we signed an agreement for a laundromat to come to Delcon. Adan danana a subway. Agreement will lease agreement a vision not a yitla. Ako te ya benina ada ilagi to kut naka oslegi to ko hospital nit ala no ako ni yada di nasta ni no subway leni do aranda da igis ko yehegi ako ya na so si bal de ya to dik an hi hanana khaira ni hanana zedigi si konet ja the natal to si asin khasin so so we will have occupancy beginning probably no later than February 2023 for the Subway restaurant and then also a laundry there in our space. Will have 100% occupancy in our space. Mr. Vince James.
Okay, Mr. Nopa. The subway, once they found out the medical expansion was happening, they really came to us and we're getting more demand for additional retail spaces from local Navajo Nation business entrepreneurs that want to lease space in Delcon. And what we're doing is we're really trying to just assist the community, the Delcon region, providing space for businesses. Having a property manager and landlord is very advantageous over outright owning your own building here in the Navajo Nation. A lot of these small businesses don't have the capital capacity for addressing their fixed overhead costs on their expense side, maintaining HVAC units or fixing windows or doors, and we're there to do that. We address any kind of electrical issues, infrastructure issues. And so that way, when these small businesses get into a space, that's something they don't need to worry about. We take care of all that. They just have to focus on maintaining their operations. And that's a plus we see. And in addition to, it's less costly for small business to lease a space rather than build out a whole new building. Again, a lot of these small businesses don't have the capacity to do so. And we're just there to provide the space, decrease the risk, so that way these entrepreneurs can get off the ground and get their businesses to the next stage to where they could possibly have the capital capacity to build out new spaces on their own and across the Navajo Nation. But I'd like to have the Delcon chapter also respond to these questions in regards to the Delcon expansion.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the floor. I don't see anybody on the floor pertaining to questions. So, Honorable Slater, you have the floor. Honorable
Thank
Slater.
you very much. Can you hear me, speaker?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So I want to ask, so on line 20 of page 3 or 5, it says allocation of the requested citizen fund. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Oh, yeah. And then ... because the expansion project is expected to generate significant tax revenues for the nation. So in this space, is the Navajo Shopping Centers Incorporated going to be making lease payments or pit tax payments to the Navajo Nation for the land that it's using? And then in addition to that, what is the projected rate of return for shopping centers on this project? And is there any, or are there any projected issues with occupancy relative to issues that you're having at other shopping centers and the vacancies at those shopping centers? This is a tremendous amount of money. I mean, an absolutely tremendous amount of money that could do a lot for the Navajo people all across the entire Navajo Nation for government services. And this, in essence, is a private commercial project. And I think if anyone's followed, I've been skeptical of the nation investing in projects, whether they're owned by the Navajo Nation or owned by private entrepreneurs, that are going to primarily benefit that corporation or that person, and not have a strong financial return back to the Navajo Nation. And this is the Navajo people's money. So That's why I have a healthy dose of skepticism right here, because I don't understand what the payments are going to be back to the Navajo Nation. So if I could get an answer to that, thank you.
Mr. Taylor, I'll come back to you. This question is directed to you. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, your delegate stater. I'll address your tax question. So the Navajo Nation shopping centers does provide space for businesses to operate. And we refer to these businesses as tenants, and each tenant generates revenues, and these revenues are then reported to the Navajo Tax Department. So from 2015 to 2021 at the Delcon Shopping Center, the total gross receipts was at 5.5 million. Of that 5.5 million, 330,000 was reverted back to the Navajo Nation through the sales tax. And then going forward, doing a 10-year projection, assuming the building is completed in 2025 and in operations for 10 years, we're anticipating gross sales to be 10.3 million with a return to the Navajo Nation of 621,000 for that within 2024 alone. Over a 10-year period, that equates to 6.2 million. And the benefit that shopping centers we anticipate to have is that with new spaces and new businesses, that brings new revenues to the Navajo Nation shopping centers. One primary inhibiting factor to shopping centers growing is we haven't built out any new space in quite some time. And so we're looking to increase our revenues by addition of new spaces, and this would add to that. And for the anticipated revenue projections for these space build-outs, we're looking at increasing our annual revenue by 2%, which equates to approximately $80,000 a year in additional revenues to shopping centers. And it's our goal to increase our balance sheet strength. So we want to increase our cash position, because when we get tossed into the mix of corporations, everybody thinks that all corporations are the same size and have the same amount of earnings. So we're not as large as Gaming Enterprise, Oil and Gas, Intech, NTUA, the Net Development Corporation. Our balance sheets are not as strong as theirs, and we're still a small corporation, and we're still trying to grow. So these additional revenue increment buildups will really help us. And again, increasing our debt borrowing capacity to where we don't have to rely so much on Navajo Nation funding, and also just increasing our cash availability to invest into other projects. And this did start off as a public-private partnership between Delcon and shopping centers. This was initiated by the Delcon chapter. And if the goal for shopping centers is to work with the chapters that are LGA certified, and we want to get these LGA chapters to be able to harness their own sales tax revenues. That way we can advance the economies of the borrowing capacities of municipalities or chapters here. And it'd be great to have the Delcon chapter have the ability to collect their own sales tax. That way we could leverage this through some kind of tax increment financing. And that's our long-term goal there, is to work with these chapters that have the capacity to expand their borrowing abilities and perhaps eventually get to some bond financing. But we're just starting off on the same starting point with every other chapter that's LGA certified at the moment.
And if I might add, Honorable Carl Slater, in response as well to, or in addition to, we've been maintaining approximately 96% occupancy in all of our 9 centers. So we've been consistent on that for about over, about the last 5 to 8 years. So we've been doing pretty good in terms of retaining and maintaining occupancy within our space. As I mentioned earlier, we'll achieve 100% occupancy there at Delcon here beginning around about February 2023. The other question that you asked about is about recruitment. Part of our strategic plan is to really go pro-Navajo. You see a couple of proposals in there for an auto parts store and a restaurant. And so with our background in terms of having to groom and to assist and to capitalize Navajo small business from within our own internal funds. I think that is something that we've looked at, and we have done that before, but that doesn't require a lot of capital. Too much. It requires just a minimal amount, but we've been successful. Next month, again, the Crown Point Victoria's Pizza is coming up, and we participated in that particular startup as well too. So we've been working with the Navajo small business there in terms of having her to start up her business. And so you'll be hearing about a new opening there in Crown Point as well too. And then lastly, I just want to add that in terms of occupancy and recruitment, that the United States Postal Services has also indicated to the Winslow Indian Healthcare, the new healthcare facility there, that there is a need for, because that now there is a hospital there, that they would now need a post office there. As you can see, part of our plan is to, again, adhere to the request by the community, and of course the local new development that happened with healthcare, is to allow for a post office to be built on our properties. And so right there, it's a shoo-in for us to get the United States Postal Service to occupy a building that's sorely needed for the community. And so, again, a lot of the grandmothers and grandfathers and recipients of checks no longer have to travel out of Dilcon or from the surrounding areas, and they'll have a post office there. And I understand that the Dilcon communities work for a zip code as we're speaking as well too. I just want to add that information in response to your question, sir. Thank you very much.
That concludes our responses. Floor back to Speaker So.
Thank you very much, Navajo Shopping Centers, for your response. With that, Mr. Carl Slater, does that complete your, does that answer your question?
I have a few more, but in the interest of topping centers myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, any other staff, anybody in the queue at this time? Nobody in the queue.
Delegate James.
Okay. Honorable Eugene Self and Honorable James. Eugene Self, you have the floor.
Speaker So, can you hear me? This is Delegate Charles Newman. If you could add me to the queue as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair Noon, put you in the queue.
My question. That's a little question, real small one. It's pertaining to history. A few years back, maybe 4 or 5 years, Navajo Nation Shopping Center requested for a piece of ground up in Chinle. And my aunt, I live where I asked for, where I heard sheep. My aunt was the one that was confronted, and she agreed to it. And we all went to the chapter house to pass the legislation, the resolution for Navajo Shopping Center for that ground. In the process of registration, somehow, I don't know where it came from, but the ground where was requested and agreed on with the hot shopping center and my family, they add on a piece of ground. I don't know, about maybe half a mile towards the church there. A road that goes to, we call the house, the Lewis and the Lucy family. So that was add on. But during the vote for the ground withdrawal, people didn't like that ground to be included So it was voted down. So a few years later, maybe two, same thing happened again. The same ground. And the family, my aunt, came about to approve the resolution for the withdrawal of the ground. That time, along the 191 up to the hospital and to the airport and also to the Catholic Church, about 2 miles east, was included again. That one, the vote tied, I think it was 14-14. And the president of the chapter house voted favor. So don't know what happened to that ground, if it was withdrawn or not. On 191 on the east side, coming off across the road from the hospital. So this is what happened. And a little example, the Navajo, the Savior Shopping Center there had a board that I think each chapter within the Chinle agency has a board on that a Savior Shopping Center. But lately, maybe 4 or 5 years, they don't show up, and we don't know who they are. And that ground there, the shopping center property, all the business don't want to get into that on that ground to lease it. By the person that leasing it out, the land out. That ground also was given to the state shopping center by my family. So, and this issue, I don't know why business don't want to be part of that, to lease that land in there. And without notifying the chapter, the people there, the board and the owner, the DCI, they went to Washington to renew the business site without the knowledge of the chapter or the Navajo Nation. So I don't know what language we didn't see on the contract or on the agreement that was made with the nation and the DCI. So that's how we seem that got cheated out. We were saying the Chinle chapter will just pick up the ground and use it as our own business site. After DCI expired, the business site expired, but it didn't came back to the chapter, went straight to Washington, and they reapproved it for him, for those people. So there's a question, brother. These are some of the issues that we have, these kind of contracts that we make with people. It always backfires on us. And always figured, why do we take land from the people when we should use those people that are using the land to lease it, help them lease it out. Let them make the dollars on the leasing. Instead, we take the land from them and they only get maybe a few dollars and that was it. And then somebody else leased the land. All these small business like Burger King or Taco, etc. That took away our own cafes, like the Smith cafes that we're going to clean up because we can't compete with the Burger King and the Church's Chicken, etc. in Chinle. His business ran out. Then there was Souls, and then there was the Gays. They all lost their job because of these Burger Kings, fast food franchise across the Navajo Nation. I don't know if there is an issue or a concern, or if there is any kind of a priority within the elected official with the 25th Navajo Nation Council that coming aboard, or the new president and the vice president. the rest. So those are issues that we have across the Navajo Nation. By layman's term, I tried to read the treaties. There's a language in there I always ask. It is mechanical pursuit. I don't know what it means, but just by dictionary, it means what you have, that piece of land, you live off of it, you sustain off of it. And we're not doing that to our people that are within that area. The land is bounded out by can. But now our Navajo Nation took that all away by giving people permits with only one person name on it. And we're kind of losing our F because this person that has one name on it, they care less about their all of their siblings and the grandkids. That's the owner, only one owner. So across the Navajo Nation, we have only one owner for it, if we have a grazing permit. But and I still feel like there needs to be some kind of a land which that could be put back into do away with the permits and the leases, because it's a conflict between our Navajo Nation. And I don't know when we're going to ever understand that. I think it was Herb Yari that came to Twin Arrows that told us there's complaints that's piling up because of dispute among the people of our own family. I shall say, what can you do? But to this day, we haven't done nothing yet. So those things are some of the things that need to change. So business side, the Quinnas, actually, I don't know how many business side there are taking land from the permittees and putting their shopping centers on there. I don't know if there's 100 or 1,000 or 400,000 of you guys that are trying to live off the land and where people used to herd sheep. Thank you.
So, Janant, just be mindful that we only have about an hour and a half to 1 o'clock, and we have legislations to add on and 2 legislations to address. So, we have delegates that have legislation and I'll be really mindful of it, of this. So, with that, I'm gonna go turn the floor back over to Vince James.
Speaker, Ado presenters no clinic a big 8 Ado shell Kahasino. Kodon Dide now for shopping center no Seniki Nihila the Quid Beso or Nihla. Ako Ajashid out on hin he beso Holodo Algentaho Nihlo Konzaten his holdish. Nana Kojit Holt ended Delcon. Aja betrat naznelle sa anito ade la the qui peso o nista ako la at carry over do allocation the peso naznel ako nihila the quid ade o nisla edo that's a day o si hasent o bahot lo ako ad and she ade no so akut nihitato no so sli ako Ako Nana Di Kodo Navajo Shopping Center. But no, you need Joe Oko the Quigo Shapers Nahaz Ako Window Rock Jado 2 by City Ado under Kayenta Do Shiprock Do Crown Point Do St. Michael's Ado Navajo Pine Hills Do Pinion Ako Ajila Hai Halate out ban Saha Kiss Ako Dola he holt out the shopping center Nihilhas Aniki do he holt out ban so case the la Jokut Ado o Nahaba Akunsen Ako Ajit he holt out the shopping centers in Naligi the Naabik'íyáti hot so be Gun Hatet Ahiki Dobel Nihil Hatet Ahiki Aje Akut he holt out beso papan saha case la isla hot do latent ako that ship brought that shot 17 million la non he don't need to shako shot del con jibaka o g that crown point that do ni hit 17 million dan needs in ni hit could on see case could her di no ba kai ko shot hot benina additional late do he hold kodon his shopping center because it don't do hot papan so case the la jo on sin ako na the kid liniki to na street to what is the contribution from Navajo Shopping Center and then also from Delicon chapter and then also why are we not having an equal distribution to all the other shopping centers throughout the whole Navajo Nation? I just don't want to hear one of the shopping centers say, well, we're interested in 17 million, like from Shiprock or Crown Point, Pinyon, other shopping centers throughout the Navajo Nation. So there's no equalizations of funding for each of the shopping centers. So that's a concerning to me if we, because the CHSN funding is specified for our Navajo people, just not one community or just not one shopping center. So that's where I'm coming from. But that will be my questions and my concerns. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go to Madam Chair, Charles Noon.
Thank you. So can you all hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. I am battling a cold right now. So I appreciate being excused yesterday, speakers last night. In terms of this legislation, you know, I was listening and I know that was a really good question that was posed by Delegate Slater regarding, you know, the commercial funds to help assist with many of these projects. And I appreciate the breakdown of all of the projects that are currently receiving funds, and you went through them. But what I noticed is that you did say that you are responding to DELCON's request. And what worries me about this is if it wasn't already in your project lineup, then there was a reason why it wasn't in your project lineup. I do appreciate, you know, DELCON's, you know, approach to try to get ready for this hospital. We've been hearing it, you know, for the last couple of years, you know, this anticipation of, you know, the increase of traffic and what will be happening there. And I appreciate the community coming out, you know, to try to prepare for this, you know, for this increase of traffic. But we also have many shopping centers where there's already data and statistics showing that, you know, that there is that increase. So what I want to know is why wasn't DELCON one of the projects that was already on your project lineup? The other question that I have is, I know that there was a comment made, I believe, that 96% occupancy. How much of that is Navajo, I guess, divisions and departments that are within the shopping centers? Because I understand that you guys are making a move right now to chase out Navajo Nation divisions and departments. I know here in Shiprock, RBDO looking for a location, and I believe that child support is also looking for a location as well. You guys are trying to prepare for businesses to come in. Which businesses are coming in, and how long do our divisions and departments have to locate, I guess, a new place for their offices? I know here in Shiprock, the shopping center, many of them are not really like shopping retail businesses, but businesses that are being operated by the Navajo Nation. If I can get some information on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'll go back to the floor to the Mr. Taylor. Navajo Shopping
Sounds
Center.
good too.
Then Honorable Begay. Go back to the sponsors.
Agashindan, Yadan, Cheweto, the speaker. Around the Haton, that it was kitty dot Arohto, the Yaed, I think, Eugene so Yahatzi, Chinli just has Angigo, Chindy, as actually. You have to respond needle, but how much the Dalcon contribute and then shopping center contribute and then you dot down. We have it my chapter manager on the line. This land was always withdrawn land back in 1976 and now withdrawn land which was drawn to about 700 acres to have a economic development and then also community development. So it has to be in the Kedat in there, Kayatlin, deeper dollars, Haran Halchin dollars. Aro other account here, hello dollars. Come that Hagi NTA that Hedo around that a hospital that Heda. And in here, hello dollars. And he need out the Dean need the co. She that lead and here they had that thought. What also that is case they withdrawn that whole land. So if you want a piece of land in the area, you just have to go to the chapter to get that withdrawn land with a chapter resolution, and then give it to Navajo Nation Land Department. They agenda that legally withdrawn. So every kick a hole has two son it then zindo job but they need I don't didn't that just today they drive about 50 to 100 miles. These people there in TA they have their own also they have a trailer court there too. That the Lego added in that so now that we have it in that too. To either our code here on but no, so it can $100. If I get your benefit, now none let the utility the benefit, now the Hashin and sisters are called on here. But no, what are the other years? Link or even as it neco. A other you see a community though is a you see Yadaltito, but not other. I don't that even here, John need it and his better husband. I think we all know that we need how do we spend this what do we mean the economic development to be on the reservation, and then there's the Navajo dollars to be staying on the Navajo Nation. Part of this is the thought of it is it's a law. Navajo Nation local governments that know so this certified chapter has been certified for since 2010. And he quite all this no so and he has allowed this don't this so we're very fortunate to have that hospital and other these police station courts that are there for people don't under the categories. Detention facility though. On leading that later up the on the cast that no. On that that as we sound even that echo. Even I don't kid he okay how you could eat I see no that so even we have a master plan in place too, and this within this 700 acres. So we have it, and we're going towards the law that the Navajo Nation created is the local governments. But the so how should alternative government banadika I don't it's going to be more like a city complex. I don't know so I'll give that down now part of the time to the just like I said, the utility is to upgrade that. Yeah, we didn't use any citizen funds. Hold that, I gave that $5.7 million to upgrade the whole water water issue. Yeah, grants it up kick and not the. Now we know that too. Dalcon chapter with the 5 chapters that I represent. With the grants that became available, $33 million. Around the chapter even yedo no yes skudo san in han hot errors in hadatin ne kick hoyi ka to the zendo be job ba buhunil nin haden need lo that here ko nene nedi no da na ni dasen things ko the teaching the halon so how kick hoyi ka. So I think we're fortunate now. So I have my schedule. Margie Borton, go ahead and give you the time, Shadi.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Mr. Taylor, you have the floor.
I'd like to have the agent from Delcon chapter speak. Ms. Margie Barton or Mr. Lorenzo Lee.
Okay. Delcon chapter.
Thank you. Navajo Nation Council, the staff, and everybody listening. This is Margie Barton, Delcon chapter manager. In response to how Delcon has contributed to this plan, we've already heard our council delegate, Begay, indicate that this is a plan that was started by our forefathers, and the current person that's still living, that's still available to congratulate in regards to the work that he's done is Mr. Manuel Shirley. So based on him and all the others that have really set this motion in place, we are now moving forward with sustaining ourselves. And through the master plan, we are able to determine what our community needs are. And based on the master plan, we were able to determine that we do need to develop our economic development plans. And in doing that, we made contact with the Navajo Nation Department of Economic Development back in 2019. That didn't move forward. However, when we did contact the Navajo Nation Shopping Center in 2021, they really started moving forward with us. And we are at the beginning of what is already has happened in the other agency hub communities like Tuba City, Shiprock, Chinle, Window Rock. We don't have what you guys have. We would like to provide the convenience of a shopping center here that will accommodate the need for people to eat out, a restaurant, to be able to buy car parts. Those are the things that are very important to us here, because right now we are traveling anywhere from 50 to 100 miles to give the services and our money to the border towns. That's what we're asking, is to have that availability here so that we can also be in the same position as those other communities across the Navajo Nation. And since Navajo Nation Shopping Center is willing to assist us with this development, we are standing behind them, and we want to assist as much as we can. So we are also doing a lot of work for ourselves. We have a really strong Club C planning committee who are moving forward with the alternative form of government to update our community land use plan. And they are currently doing more surveys to get the economic development plans in place so that we can go forward with a post office, a bank, anything else that we're lacking that you already have across the Navajo Nation. So ADG, I just wanted to quickly state that, and I'm going to go ahead and give the our president some time. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, this is Lorenzo Lee Sr. from Delcon, chapter president. Yat Honor Ton now 24th now Nation Council Aro Speaker up Aro in Dice not I do on Nikot the Skidostani but not at Ecuador in Kaya Kodo a Kodobaye Kido Kodobana Koshidi what actually Kodo it's Kodo Clyde to the way see now Sah Kodo Dalcon a charter president but it all a job by any things I know for I didn't have car die on haben da an Hawaii hier in Hawaii noch kann geht noch die gewoon jaren de nie hoe kad ook kedigi so dat het echt oh je is weer gaat dan niet zo aro ko de dal kan community oh je net je of gaat ook in die dat de electricity and the water take and the not just dal kan but that other chapters in the around that in that have the hero help other churches I don't NXA in the district court out of the school out of the local chapter what ako khashina la de ya in the ya de pain de ni khullo di dan khakhle di khodo khun zaben yani dar ningi ide bait ya do ya an hier in der die jetzt nicht bei in den Lego nach von Raschen ja ba ich sag kein genau kein bei schon nicht geho ich kann hier ba nicht so ja eben ja können nicht geht nicht nach da auch ne like that die ja kodon hayos hin geht nicht bin das eben na in nicht kann da oder ja besser an die Journal ist so wie war for the whole year. How do you compare extra money in kitchen? Yeah, economic development. They don't see at all. Get that, Nika. Even now, they aren't need all there to do now. Because if they are calling them, let's have a stage one. I'd order a Hana chicken, she don't order. Yeah, I couldn't cut the whole art. Yeah, your body, no, no. All the others, they don't share now.
Thank you, Agent. This is Nick Taylor.
Hold on, Mr. Nick Taylor. I guess what I was trying to hear from the chapter was that a question was posed and the chapter did not answer that. Is that how much money, how much funds did Delcon chapter and this is to Navajo Shopping Center too, Mr. Taylor, and you'll expand on that. How much money did Delcon chapter and the Navajo Nation Shopping Center contribute to the project? So before I go to the shopping center, Delcon, can you give us a number of funds of what has been contributed to the project? Thank you.
Speaker, so this is Doug again. I can answer some of them. Like I mentioned, that $5.7 million contributed with IHS and then also with NTA and then also with Winslow Indian Healthcare Center. We come up with that $5.7 million to improve the water system. Just to the community for the continued development of Delcon area where the shopping center is and where the new medical center. That's the only way it's going to grow and it's going to be released with this water. So that's how it was with the grant that was with our resolutions and helping them. Today, we didn't use any sales funds or permit trust fund for that $5.7 million. Last year we tried to go before your committees and that because of that. How long it's going to take for the process to come up with that? We come up with our own. And then for the increase of the Wi-Fi in that area, it slows down. So we came up with $33 million again to improve that Wi-Fi system. That's all those towers, even the hospital that's going to be there. None of the 109 staff quarters. To improve the system. It does. That's the link called that's one of the work that was done by the community. So Margie, do you have any other things?
Delcon chapter? Not hearing anything. I'll go to Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. Nick Taylor speaking here. I'll address the questions in order posed by Delegate So, Delegate James, and Delegate Eugenia Charles Newton. So for Delegate So's question, the Chinle chapter has control over the land use. So I'll defer to the Chinle chapter to follow up on your question there. In addition, the DCI is not Navajo Nation Shopping Centers. DCI is an entirely different company, which has no involvement with Navajo Nation Shopping Centers. So I cannot speak to DCI's operations. To speak to Delegate James' questions about what has shopping centers contributed to this project, we've contributed $4.85 million as to the current build out on the 10 acres in its existence so far. This coming year, we have $330,000 going to the existing infrastructure and building for improvements and updating, which brings a total to over $5 million we'll have contributed. And for the comments on equalization of these funds to other properties that shopping centers owns, shopping centers did make that request through ARPA back in 2021. And earlier this year, we did request for $180 million to share equally among all our shopping centers properties. And DOJ did approve those monies for retail expansion. However, it was not included in the final ARPA bill. And our assessment for projects that are ready, this Delcon Shopping Center is within the control and lease ownership of Navajo Nation Shopping Centers. We can move pretty quickly, very quickly. And 2, we already have right-of-way. And 3, we already have on-site existing infrastructure. And 4, there is demand for space. And we also have a huge supply of additional customers coming to the area and to the region. And to address Eugenia Charles Newton's questions about project priority listing. So in 2019, shopping centers began formulating our strategic plan. And in 2020, we're kicking off our plan. However, the pandemic ceased communication with all chapters. And from 2020 through most of 2021, we were unable to really get year-to-date updates on the current economic development capacities for each of the chapters in which we operate. So along the way, we did get some updates from Delcon chapter and also other chapters we work with. What we learned is that some communities are not ready for economic expansion. For example, Tuba City chapter, they are currently at capacity for their wastewater sewer lagoon. NTUA will not sign off in any new tap-ins for development in the area. So we cannot develop there until the infrastructure is expanded. And for the Shiprock area, the also wastewater lagoon is at capacity is what we were told earlier this year. And what really helps coordinate economic development is for communities to have a strategic development master community plan, which the Shiprock chapter does not have in place yet. So these are items we look for when seeking out new developments. The Delcon chapter does have the existing infrastructure, has capacity to meet these build outs. And this Delcon chapter does have a community development master plan. And 3, the Delcon chapter does have shopping centers within its chapter boundaries, and we control that site to where we can develop quickly. And to address your questions about the transition of providing more retail opportunities instead of office for Navajo Nation apartments. So we're taking that on a case-by-case basis at each of our shopping centers. So we do recognize that the Navajo Nation government has not yet provided adequate funding for retail development of office buildings. So we're trying to do what we can to modify our properties to where they are more retail oriented. And so we're, again, working with each department on a case-by-case basis to facilitate that transition. And what we're also doing is really trying to increase entrepreneurship at the local level. So we'd like to really start a campaign to where we will be attracting local Navajo Nation businesses to backfill these spaces once they're vacant. But our goal is that we recognize that this is a multi-year task, and we'll be doing what we can to really find these local entrepreneurs and bring some modern retail to Navajo Nation. That concludes my response. I turn the floor back to Speaker So.
Thank you very much for the response. I'm going to go over to Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So.
Yes, thank you. Speaker and Chair So, Naabik'íyáti committee members. I'm really concerned that we're taking so long in trying to resolve the matter on this particular legislation, and yet there's a lot of unfinished details regarding this particular item, and I would like to motion to table this legislation so that the next council can address it. Right now, I'm concerned that we have a big number of add-ons that are ready, and we only have a little over an hour before we have to just stop Naabik'íyáti proceedings. So with that, Chair So, I motion to table this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll accept your tabling motion for this particular legislation number 0232-22. And on the tabling motion, when I call for the vote, there's no debate. We go straight to vote on this. So second motion. Second motion by Paul Begay. And the tabling duration is for the next council. But again, just to let you know, a legislation that is tabled is considered an action of the committee. It can still continue to move forward if the sponsor decides to move it into the Navajo Nation Council. So with that, we have a motion in place, second in place, and go ahead and proceed to staff with roll call vote.
Beginning the vote with Honorable Elmer Begay. How do you vote?
I'll vote red.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes red. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. did not vote. Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, how do you vote? Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton.
Delegate Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati, how do you vote? Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati. Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati votes green via text. Honorable Seth Damon is excused. Honorable Herman Daniels, how do you vote? Honorable Herman Daniels. Honorable Herman Daniels did not vote. Excuse me, Honorable Herman Daniels votes red. Honorable Mark Freeland, how do you vote?
I'll vote red.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes red. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote? Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona did not vote. Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote? Honorable Jamie Henio. Honorable Jamie Henio did not vote. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes red.
Honorable Rick Nez votes red. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote?
Red.
Honorable Carl Slater votes red. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not vote. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes red. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote? Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not vote. Honorable Daniel So, how do you vote? Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., how do you vote?
I vote red.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes red. Honorable Edison Juanica, how do you vote? Honorable Edison Juanica votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazdi, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazdi. Honorable Edmund Yazdi did not vote. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote? Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not vote. Going back up, Honorable Key Allen Biggie Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Key Allen Biggie Jr. votes green via text. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote?
Chair Che, Speaker, so what are we voting on? Are we on the main motion?
Chairman Henio, we're voting on tabling motion of this legislation.
Thank you, I vote red.
Honorable Jamie Henio votes red. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not vote. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote? Honorable Charlene So votes red via text. Honorable Edmund Yazdi, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazdi. Honorable Edmund Yazdi did not vote. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote? Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
I vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. With that, Honorable Speaker, you have 11 delegates who voted in favor, 9 delegates who oppose, with presiding chair, Honorable Speaker Otto So not voting.
Thank you very much. Legislation has been tabled for the next 25th Navajo Nation Council. But this legislation, this tabling motion and even the motioning of this legislation is still considered an action of council. So this legislation can move forth as long as the sponsor decides to move the document forward. So he can move it on and add it on to the Navajo Nation Council, a special Navajo Nation Council agenda. With that, I'm going to come back to Honorable Nate Brown.
Another put me in the queue.
Nate Brown.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to add the legislation 271, if I could suspend the floor rules and add 0271-22, and also what was released and signed, legislation 0251 and 0274 to the agenda. And I'll do the amendment at the council level as well. So if we can just I don't know if we can also request for a consent agenda on these legislations, since we're down to less than an hour left. So idea been Chicago. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We have to add the legislations on first, and then we have to come back to do consent agenda. So with this, I have a motion in place to add on where suspension of 4 rules happen. A motion by Honorable Nate Brown. I'm going to call for a second in motion.
Chair Chanel.
Second by Eugene So. With that, Janand, is there any questions pertaining to this suspension of 4 rules?
Chair Chanel, if I could request for a modification
Honorable Eugene So requesting for modification. What is your modification, Eugene So?
to add on 2 legislation also onto this motion 0260-22 and 0272-22. Would be appreciated. Thank you.
Isn't that the one that Dana's?
Honorable Eugene So, only 260 is ready for the legislation at this time. So you can only add on 0260-22.
That'll be much obliged. Thank you.
Ogoshina, thank you very much. Honorable Brown, you okay with that? Thank you very much. You concur, and Eugene So concurs too. With that, Shanand, any other modification to the addition to this?
Chair, just Delegate Begay.
Honorable Begay, you have the floor.
Okay, I allowed a request for a modification to make a motion to add legislation 0232-21.
We already acted on that. First one we did is.
Honorable Elmer Begay, that legislation has been acted on yesterday. You voted on that legislation.
Okay, so moving on to this afternoon, though, this, so.
Oh, Hogoshi, moving forth, I have to get the headings read into the record. I mean, step back and have manual read the headings into the record.
Thank you, Speaker, members of the Naabik'íyáti Committee. Tracking number 0271-22 is an action relating to the Naabik'íyáti Committee and Navajo Nation Council approving the Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Fund Delegate Region Project Plan for Honorable Nathaniel Brown's Delegate Region, chapters Chichimito, Dinahotso, and Kayenta. The other one was tracking number 0274-22, and that is an action relating to Resource and Development Committee and Naabik'íyáti Committee approving and authorizing the intergovernmental agreement between the Arizona Game and Fish Commission, the Arizona Game and Fish Department, and the Navajo Nation Department. That legislation is sponsored by Honorable Mark A. Freeland and co-sponsored by Honorable Edison J. Wanika. The modification to include 0260-22 is an act relating to the Budget and Finance, Health, Education, and Human Services, and Naabik'íyáti Committees and Navajo Nation Council, establishing the opioid litigation settlement funding, directing that monies received from regarding national prescription opiate litigation on August 5th, 2015, MLD number 2804, case number 17-MD-02804, and related actions be deposited in the opioid litigation settlement fund, reimbursing the fixed cost litigation account for litigation costs. Legislation sponsored by Honorable Eugene So and Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. Thank you. Mr. Wilson Stewart, your legislation is added on, correct, already? 251? Okay. So I will have to come back to you. With that, any other legislation that needs to be added on utilizing this suspension of 4 rules at this time? We didn't do 251?
We did 271, 274, and 250.
Oh, all right, then I'm gonna go back to Mr. Come back to honorable.
251 out, Nate added 270, no, he added 271, you read off the email, 274. You read off the email.
Did you read in 251?
No.
Okay, we need to read in legislation 0251 into the record. Manuel?
Thank you, Speaker. Members of the Naabik'íyáti Committee, tracking number 0251-22 is an act relating to the Budget and Finance, Resource Development, and Naabik'íyáti Committees and to the Navajo Nation Council, amending CMY-54-18 to extend through crop year 2028 a CSM fund guarantee for the Navajo Nation's annual premiums for the Rainfall Index Pasture Rangeland and Forage Pilot Insurance Program administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Legislation is sponsored by Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. and co-sponsored by Honorable Chairman Jamie Henyo. Mr. Speaker.
Okay, moving on down the line. Any other legislation that needs to be added on to the utilizing this suspension of floor rules? I know that there's, is this all the legislation that's ready to go? All righty then. Colleagues of the 24th Navajo Nation Council, gonna go ahead and ask one more time. Any other questions pertaining to this motion of suspension of floor rules at this time? One once, twice, 3 times. Round the horn. Roll call.
Beginning the vote with Honorable Elmer Begay, how do you vote?
I'll vote green.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr., how do you vote?
Yeah, votes green.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, how do you vote?
Delegate Charles Newton votes red.
Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton votes red. Honorable Amber Knez Bakrati, how do you vote? Honorable Amber Knez Bakrati. Honorable Amber Knez Bakrati did not vote. Honorable Seth Damon is excused. Honorable Herman Daniels, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Herman Daniels votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote?
Amy votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henio votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate Jam votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not vote. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote? Honorable Charlene So votes green via text. Honorable Daniel So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes green. Honorable Edison Juanica, how do you vote? Honorable Edison Juanica votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie did not vote. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Going back up, Honorable Amber Knez Bakrati, how do you vote? Honorable Amber Knez Bakrati votes green via text. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not vote. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie did not vote. With that, Honorable Speaker, you have 19 delegates who voted in favor, 1 delegate who opposes, with presiding chair, Honorable Speaker Otto So not voting.
Thank you very much. We have added on 19 for legislation, 19 in favor, 1 opposed, and chair not voting. And this will carry the agenda out to HIGKLM. MJ don't the old business. So with that, we have added these on to the agenda at this time. And I believe is there any other questions pertaining to the agenda at this time? Before I move forth to call on to the next legislation. Not hearing anything. I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with next legislation. Manuel, can you go ahead and read the next legislation into the record?
Chair,
Okay.
Otto So.
Honorable Daniel So, you have the floor.
Yes, I'd like to motion to put these legislations that we just added to the agenda to be a consent agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. I will go ahead and accept your motion. And can you go ahead and this is pertaining to legislation number 0271-22, 0251-22, 0274-22, and 0260-22. Is that correct, Honorable Daniel So?
Yes.
Okay, with that, I'm going to call for seconding motion.
Second, Delegate Begay.
Honorable Begay seconds the motion here. Paul Begay. Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion in place, second in place. Colleagues, is there any issues that you may have with the board legislation that has been added on to the as consent agenda? Going once, twice, 3 times. Go ahead and proceed with. roll call
Delegate,
vote.
this is Delegate Crotty with the question.
Madam Chair Karate, you have a question, you have the floor.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. If I could just get read, I wrote down the 4 legislations that we just added to the agenda. Could I get the titles of the legislation? I'm still having, we're still having internet issues here with our power going on and off. I don't need the whole, like, what committee was assigned to. I just need to know what the legislation language was. I just need to make sure if I had any questions regarding those legislations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get, Manuel, can I get a reading on the 4 consent agenda legislation, this the heading?
Thank you, Speaker, and members of the 24 Nomination Council, Naabik'íyáti Committee. The first one is tracking number 0271-22 in action relating to Naabik'íyáti Committee, Navajo Nation Council, approving the Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Fund Delegate Region Project Plan for Honorable Nathaniel Brown's Delegate Region, Chapters Chilchimito, Dinahotso, and Kienta. You have tracking number 0251-22, an act relating to the Budget and Finance, Resource and Development, and Naabik'íyáti Committees and Navajo Nation Council, amending CMY-54-18 to extend through crop year 2028 the CSN Fund guarantee for the Navajo Nation's annual premiums for the Rainfall Index Pasture, Rangeland, and Forage Pilot Insurance Program administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Tracking number 0274-22, an action relating to the Resource and Development Committee and Naabik'íyáti Committees, approving and authorizing the intergovernmental agreement between the Arizona Game and Fish Commission, the Arizona Game and Fish Department, and the Navajo Nation Department. Tracking number 0260-22, an act relating to Budget and Finance, Health, Education, and Human Services, and Naabik'íyáti Committees and the Navajo Nation Council, establishing the opioid litigation settlement funding, directing that monies received from National Prescription Opioid Litigation on August 5th, 2015, MLD number 2804, case number 17-MD-02804, and related actions be deposited in the opioid litigation settlement fund, reimbursing the fixed cost litigation account for litigation costs. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Crotty. Those are the four legislations that had been added on as for consent agenda at this time.
Thank you, Shiaz Delegate. So if I could ask that legislation 0251-22 regarding the rangeland be removed from the consent agenda, so I may ask questions and possibly offer an amendment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. 0251-22 is off the consent agenda. Any other questions out there, Shanant, pertaining to the items added to the consent agenda?
Recording in progress.
Not hearing anything. Going once, twice, third time. Round the horn, proceed with the roll call vote.
Beginning the vote with Honorable Elmer Begay. How do you vote? Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Kealan Begay Jr., how do you vote?
Kealan votes green.
Honorable Kealan Begay Jr. and Honorable Paul Begay both vote green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, how do you vote?
Delegate Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Amber Knez-Bakrati, how do you vote? Honorable Amber Knez-Bakrati votes green via text. Honorable Seth Damon is excused. Honorable Herman Daniels, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Herman Daniels votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote?
Henio votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henio votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote?
Red.
Honorable Carl Slater votes red. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not vote. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote? Honorable Charlene So votes green via text. Honorable Daniel So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So.
Oh, that's good.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Honorable Edison Juanica, how do you vote? Honorable Edison Juanica votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie did not vote. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote?
Delegate Yellowhair votes green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Going back up, Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not vote. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie did not vote. With that, Honorable Speaker, you have 18 delegates who voted in favor, 1 delegate who opposes, with presiding chair, Honorable Speaker Otto So not voting.
Okay, thank you very much. Consent agenda set for, has passed for legislation 0271-22, 0274-22, and 0260-22. So with that, we have a consent agenda item on there, and that will make the consent agenda item the new J, be item J, and then 0251 would be item K. So, with that, thank you very much, colleagues, for modifying the agenda at this time. With that, we're going to go down the line and go on to the next item on the agenda. Staff,
Speaker So.
Mr. Rico, Madam Charles Noon.
Speaker So, this is Delegate Charles Noon. Yes.
You have to-
Speaker So, I know that we've added on a lot of legislations, and each time we've done that, the Title 17 gets pushed down the line. I guess we have until 1 o'clock to get through the consent agenda, as well as the legislation 0251-21. So if the Title 17 criminal code amendment, if they don't get voted on, does it still proceed forward to council, or does it die there at Nabi? Can I get some clarification? I think that the people of the Navajo Nation, those who are listening in, need to know what's going on with this legislation. Thank you. And especially our law enforcement officers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to turn the floor over to Dana, Legislative Council. Ms. Barba?
Good morning. This is Dana Bobroff, Chief Legislative Counsel. Delegate Chairwoman Charles Newton asked if the Title 17 amendments will die if they're not acted on by Nabi. The answer to that is no. They were tabled yesterday at Nabi, so at the discretion of the sponsor, they can be moved on to council. Thank you. Back to you, Speaker.
Thank
you
you,
very much,
Speaker.
Madam
Yes,
Chair.
I will want it to go on to council. Thank you.
Madam Chair, and the reason for that is that Naabik'íyáti committee is not the final authority. So that's the reason earlier legislation was tabled, and for Honorable Elmer Begay, and he can make that same request also there at council. Anyway, moving on down the line, Mr. Rico, go ahead and read the next legislation into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the Naabik'íyáti Committee. This is the consent agenda. Tracking number 0271-22, an action relating to the Naabik'íyáti Committee and Navajo Nation Council, approving the Navajo Nation Fiscal Recovery Fund Delegate Region Project Plan for Honorable Nathaniel Brown Delegate Region, chapters Chilchimito, Dinahotso, and Kayenta. Legislation is sponsored by Honorable Nathaniel Brown, co-sponsored by Honorable Madam Chair Eugenia Charles Newton. This legislation moves on to the Navajo Nation Council. Tracking number 0274-22, in action relating to the Resource and Development Committee and Naabik'íyáti Committees, approving and authorizing the intergovernmental agreement between the Arizona Game and Fish Commission, the Arizona Game and Fish Department, and the Navajo Nation Department. This legislation is sponsored by Honorable Mark A. Freeland, co-sponsored by Honorable Edison J. Wanika. This legislation is final authority at Naabik'íyáti per Navajo Nation Council Standing Committee Rules of Order Rule 9. Legislation has been read into record by electronic voice recording. Tracking number 0260-22, an act relating to the Budget and Finance, Health, Education, and Human Services, and Naabik'íyáti Committees and Navajo Nation Council establishing the opiate litigation settlement funding, directing that money is received from regarding national prescription opiate litigation on August 5th, 2015, MLD number 2804, case number 17-MD-02804, and related actions be deposited in the opiate litigation settlement fund, reimbursing the fixed cost litigation account for litigation costs. This legislation is sponsored by Honorable Eugene So, co-sponsored by Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. This legislation moves on to Navajo Nation Council. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. I'm going to call for a motion.
Motion, Halona.
Motion by Honorable Pernell Halona. Second motion.
Yellow hair.
Second by Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. With action on as a consent agenda, there is no questions to this. Is a consent of the body of Naabik'íyáti Committee. So I'm going to go ahead and call for a roll call vote.
Beginning the vote with Honorable Elmer Begay. How do you vote? Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Kealan Begay Jr., how do you vote?
Yellow votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Kealan Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, how do you vote?
Delegate Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Amber Knez-Bacradi, how do you vote?
Deja, this is Delegate Crotty. I'll vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Knez-Bacradi votes green. Honorable Seth Damon is excused. Honorable Herman Daniels, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Herman Daniels votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote? Honorable Jamie Henio. Honorable Jamie Henio did not vote. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote?
Red.
Honorable Carl Slater. Honorable Carl Slater did not vote. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you
This is
vote?
Delegate Slater. I vote red.
Excuse me, Honorable Carl Slater votes red. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not vote. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote? Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not vote. Honorable Daniel So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Honorable Edison Juanica, how do you vote? Honorable Edison Juanica votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie did not vote. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote? Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Okay, Yellowhair votes green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Honorable, excuse me, going back up, Honorable Elmer Begay, how do you vote?
I'll vote green.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote? Honorable Jamie Henio. Honorable Jamie Henio did not vote. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not vote. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote? Honorable Charlene So votes green via text. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie did not vote. With that, Honorable Speaker, you have 17 delegates who voted in favor, 1 delegate who opposed, with presiding chair, Honorable Speaker Otto So not voting.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. Consent agenda containing legislation 0271-22, 0274-22, and 0260-22 has passed and will be forward to Navajo Nation Council, and a vote of 17 in favor, 1 opposed, and chair not voting. Yeah, no, thank you very much, members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. With that, we're going to go on to the next item on the agenda. Manuel, can you go ahead and read the next item into the record?
Thank you, Speaker, members of the Naabik'íyáti Committee. Tracking number 0251-22, an act relating to the Budget and Finance, Resource and Development and Naabik'íyáti Committees and to the Navajo Nation Council, amending CMY-54-18 to extend through crop year 2028 the Citizen Fund guarantee for the Navajo Nation's annual premiums for the Rainfall Index Pasture, Rangeland, and Forage Pilot Insurance Program administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This legislation is sponsored by Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr., co-sponsored by Honorable Chairman Jamie Henio. You do have a committee report from the Resource and Development Committee, from the Budget and Finance Committee that recommended do pass with no amendment, a committee report from the Resource and Development Committee that recommended do pass, no amendment. This legislation moves on to the Navajo Nation Council. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to call for a motion. Call for a motion. Motion by Honorable Henio, Chairman Henio. Second in motion.
Charles Newton.
Second by Honorable Junior Charles Newton. With that, any questions? Before I go to the floor, we can address this legislation in 2 ways. If there is no questions to this legislation, we can go ahead and proceed and go forth to the vote, as long as it's a consensus. And then, other than that, if there's a question, we'll go through the regular process. We'll give the agent 20 minutes to present the legislation to the Naabik'íyáti body. So with that, any questions to this particular legislation 0251-22?
Delegate Daniel So requests to speak.
Okay, Honorable Daniel So, and then we'll go to Honorable Crowdy. With that, Honorable Daniel So. Or hold on, jump the gun. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the sponsor, Honorable Wilson Stewart, 20 minutes to present to the Naabik'íyáti committee. You have the floor.
Gushing, Chairman. Although the legislation, the Nigi 0251-22, the Nachigi I will hand the reins over to Shana, Mr. Ferdinand Nota, Otto, and Mr. Leo Watchman, who are the two agents on this AIF, the Ninigi Agriculture Infrastructure Funding for the crop year for 2028 into 2028 rather. So it's an amendment on that one. Shana, Mr. Nota, are you online?
Mr. Nota, star six. Going once.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Nota.
This is Ferdinand Nota. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Mr. Nota. Proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The legislation that is before you, honorable delegates, and that's sponsored by Delegate Stewart, my brother. First of all, let me explain that. If you recall, back in 2016, when the Navajo Nation Council authorized the participation in the pasture range and forage insurance program, there was an amount of $19.8 million that was set aside as a premium reserve. Now, this reserve was intended to back up the premium payments that were coming due every year that we participate in this program. The premiums for the crop year are calculated by USDA upfront, and but then the premiums are due by October 1 of that year. Normally, the indemnities that we gain from the insurance program are more or less accumulated by USDA to offset the premium costs. And then once the premiums are satisfied, then the USDA forwards those checks through our insurance providers and the agent, and we receive those as Navajo Nation payments that come in from the insurance program. The premium reserve basically backs us up in the event that the indemnities that accumulate through October 1 are less than the premium. And if we do not pay the premium payment by October 1, the policies can lapse, and the USDA would more or less terminate the policy. But the premium reserve backs us up in the event that there's a shortage on the premium. In the past, we've made basically premium drawdowns on this reserve in 2017, 2019, and in 2021. But the amounts of drawdown are more or less offset by the indemnities that come in after October 1. In each case, that was the situation. Basically, the initial drawdown that we made was $9.6 million in 2017. And immediately after that drawdown, there was enough funding, about $26 million came in from the policy, which more or less offset that drawdown amount. And then in 2020, or 2019 rather, we were short on the premium
on October 1 by about $12 million. So another drawdown was made on the premium reserve to back up the premium. And so we drew down $12.1 million. And then immediately thereafter, there was enough money that came in 2020 that more or less offset the premium drawdown. So that basically replenished what we drew down. In 2021, we made a minor premium drawdowns in the amount of $190,000 that we were short on premiums. And so that drawdown was made, and that made the policies good as of October 2nd. This past year in 2022, we did make one drawdown of $150,000, and I believe that right now we're waiting on the final results of the interval payment, but I believe that right now we are sitting about $4 million ahead on the indemnities. So that $4 million will more or less cover the $151,000. So on the original legislation that the council approved, they authorized us for 2 years, and then we had an extension from the council that extended us for 5 more years, which basically takes us through crop year 23, this coming year. And we did make an application to USDA for renewal of the policy for 2023, but the premium basically expires at the end of 2023. And so this action, this legislation is to renew the citizen reserve in the amount of $19.8 million. Now, also directed by the council when the original approval was made, was that we have been setting aside internally in our budget an amount of about $2.8 million to build up our own reserve. And the controller's office is, they finally set up that account to where these internal reserve amounts are going to be deposited. So basically, we've in the budget that was approved today by the RDC and as well as the BNF, do replenish the amounts for those years from 2017 through 2021. So basically, that means that the 2.8 will be deposited to build up our own reserve. And but anyway, what the resolution basically is to extend this reserve for another 5 years so that we can have some latitude to maybe increase our acreages or do some other adjustments on our coverages to cover us, maybe increase the acreages of coverage under the policy and take us on into the future. And so in the end, to date, the program has brought in over $90 million of revenue to the Navajo Nation. And all these deposits are made into by the controller's office into a special account. And so we are accumulating benefits there. And that's where our Agriculture Infrastructure Fund has the projects that get approved by the RDC. And that's where the funding is derived. So, but anyway, briefly, that's a summary of the intent of the resolution and legislation. And I will now turn it back over to Delegate Wilson Stewart, Jr. So, Elliot, thank you.
Just ask Chairman, so that completes the presentation. At this time, we are open to questions and comments. Speaker.
Okay, thank you very much. It completes the presentation pertaining to legislation 0251-22. We have a motion in place by Honorable Jamie Hinio and a second in place by Madam Chair Eugenia Charles Newton. This legislation, which presentation has been made by Mr. Ferdinand Nota and the sponsor also. I did with that. With that, I'm gonna go to the floor. Any other, I did call upon Daniel So. And then after Daniel So will be Madam Chair Crotty. Honorable Daniel So, you have the floor.
Thank you. Kaya last sila. Chair Aruso, Ara, and I, Naabik'íyáti committee members. And then Sila, Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr., Mr. Ferdinand Nota. I guess on the call is Mr. Leo Watchman. And what really puzzles me is, the acreage, part of the premiums that are basically taken into paying for the acreage on the Eastern Agency side. Some of those acreages entail BLM lands, state lands, other federal lands like 2198 lands. And so that part really puzzles me. And it seems like you're taking the whole exterior boundaries, inclusive of the satellite chapters to pay premiums on. And what is the federal responsibility for their own federal administered lands, whether it be the BIA or the BLM? So in that respect, does your program take into account to those acreages, federal administrated acres, in paying the premiums as well as getting the proceeds when there is drought issues? So how do we then distribute those monies? And that is the question I would pose. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. So, for your question there. Gonna go to Madam Chair Karate.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Chef. My question regarding the legislation is if you could provide the breakdown of funds, Mr. Nota, that you verbally reported in reviewing the range management proposals. It's really difficult to follow exactly how much funding, not that you're receiving, but how much you're actually expending in helping with the rangeland issues. So this fund was developed 7 years ago. And I think any delegate on council can reflect and look at their district. And I can't identify an area where this fund has benefited our communities on why it exists. So if there's $90 million in total, how much money have you spent to provide relief and do rangeland work, and what does that look like? And if you've collected $90 million, why the need to keep the CEJASEN funding when the original intent was for 2 years? And then you expanded it another 5 years and now asking for another 5 years. Because that funding, according to this legislation, And the initial intent back in 2016 and amended in 2018 is once you give that money back, it's eligible again to go back into Sihasin. And so I'm trying to understand why this approach would be to keep that 19.8 million when it appears that you should have the funding that you need thus far to continue with this insurance program, if in fact it is in the best interest of Navajo Nation, and if in fact there's benefit, because we're 7 years out, and there should be a time now where you move forward and you have a program that, and I read here, currently experiencing post COVID-19 factors. So COVID-19 started in 2020. So you still have to demonstrate from 2016 to 2020 how this program has been beneficial and it's been successful. And I would want to just get a high level summary of that. I have been trying to track this fund because some of the incentive programs, I guess it's been taking months for some of the ranchers or some of the gardeners. And I do receive emails from CKP or CKP. I think I received about 100 emails and saying certain community members, they're grateful that there's this opportunity, and they applied. And then for about 2 or 3 months, I would hear issues or complaints on when are they going to receive their compensation, the growing season's over, why are we lying to our people? And so I think there has to be some sense of accountability if how these programs how these funding dollars are being appropriated, and if Department of Ag has the capacity to continue administering these dollars, if there really hasn't been any solid improvement, and then what could this council or any future council or leadership look to see with this remaining 19.8 million. So I think it's a policy decision, but it's also in terms of understanding the intent. And I would have asked these questions in the Oversight Committee, but we were having some technical issues. And so I wanted to ask these questions before we move on to council. Thank you.
Delegate Jane, request to speak.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go back to sponsor. Mr. James, I'll put you into the queue.
Question, Chairman, I'll go ahead and hand the floor over to Shania, Mr. Nota, Otto, Mr. Watchman, I thought, to respond back to the questions from Samasana, Amber Crowdy, Otto, and the Shania, I thought, Daniel. So.
Delegate Stewart, is Ferdinand. Speaker, if I may, I will address it, and hopefully Mr. Watson can come on. But initially, Delegate So, thank you for your question. On the acreage, basically the policy that we are carrying ensures trust grazing acres. This is basically the regular trust lands of Navajo Nation. And we've also been able to get some of the fee lands covered through individual policies, because under the original legislation, that option was available to ensure lands that are leased out by, let's say, our Navajo ranchers, where they can apply for lease insurance coverage for their lease ranches. Okay, that's outside of the regular trust acres. And also this provision that I'm speaking about also allows for coverage for allottees. to come in and apply for coverages on their own. Now, the insurance basically is there are grids, and these grids are set up by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. And these weather grids are basically through our agent. We analyze the weather data for each of those grids. For example, in Arizona, we have 88 grids that cover Navajo Nation grazing lands, trust acres. And in the analyzation of the data, weather data and other factors, we decided that initially we started out with about 18 grids that were covered in Arizona out of the 88. And basically these grids are determined to be the grids that have the highest potential for return on the insurance policy. Now, there's some grids due to weather and other factors that are very risky in covering. For example, some areas might not get so much precipitation or moisture, and that if we buy insurance on those grids, we stand to lose money. So basically, we put together what we call an optimization model. And this optimization model is able to analyze the weather data for each one of these grids. And then from that, we can determine which grids are the most likely to make a return on the policy. We've also did that with New Mexico. Now, New Mexico's weather is somewhat different. And there are some areas that are very, very risky in covering. So the number of grids that we cover in New Mexico is a lot less. For example, right now we're only covering 15 grids in Arizona, or in New Mexico rather. And in Arizona currently we're running about 20 grids that we are covering out of the 88 in Arizona. So these are the weather grids that are selectively picked to have the highest return possible. And like I said, there's modeling that goes into it, statistical modeling, because this weather data is analyzed all the way back to 1948 up to the present time. And the other thing to keep in mind is that we are in a mega drought. Okay, and this is a long-term drought. How long it will last, we have no idea. And most of this is due to climate change and other impacts. Okay, but and basically that's how we select our grids and the grids to be insured. Like I said, there are some grids that are too risky, and more likely some of those grids might show a loss every year. So those are the grids that we eliminate from the equation. Now, the grids that have the highest potential for bringing a return, those grids are added into the coverage. Okay. So anyway, it's like I said, we do some modeling with our agent. What we call optimization modeling, and so that's one way to analyze the acres that we insure. And there are ways that we can cover other lands, such as BLM, state lands, and etc. But the key thing on these outside lands, other than Navajo, is the key factor is they have to be leased by the Navajo Nation or individual lessees. Okay. Without lease, we're unable to cover it under the insurance program. So the lease is required. So that requires state leases, it requires BLM leases, and etc. Okay. And we just don't arbitrarily pick out the lands to be covered. We don't cover all the acreages in New Mexico or all the acreages in Arizona. Okay, but we do also cover the Colorado Ranch, the Wolf Springs Ranch. Okay, so anyway, and then moving on to Delegate Crotty's questions about the breakdown of funds. All our AIF projects, Agriculture Infrastructure Fund projects,
Hold on.
they are all based.
Mr.
Okay.
Nota?
Yes.
Naabik'íyáti committee has officially timed out. And time has expired for this Naabik'íyáti special session that we had held for today, yesterday and today. So with that, now we have a time limit, and Navajo Nation Council session, special Navajo Nation Council session is to start at 1 o'clock here. So it's now 1:01 and 8 go. Naabik'íyáti committee meeting is timed out, and we cannot proceed anymore. Time has expired any forward on this particular legislation at Naabik'íyáti committee. So with that, time has expired. We're gonna go into the special Navajo Nation Council session meeting, and we're gonna get things prepared and give us about a good 10 minutes to make the transition to get ready for the special Navajo Nation Council session. And that's supposed to start at 1 o'clock. Stay on Naabik'íyáti committee, and the IT guys have to change the information here. So I'm gonna go on mute and timed out. We'll get ready for special Navajo Nation Council session. Thank you. And also you have to call, but you have to log out or call, hang up and call back